The following program is a paid advertisement and does not necessarily represent the views of The following program is a paid advertisement and does not necessarily represent the views, opinions, or endorsements of Signal Hill Media Partners, its affiliate stations, or its advertisers. Welcome to Taking Care of NC, the program dedicated to exploring the issues, opportunities, and challenges shaping the great state of North Carolina. Join your host, Representative Jeff McNeely, as he delves into meaningful discussions about politics, community initiatives, and the people working to make a difference. Whether it's tackling local concerns, highlighting state achievements, or addressing pressing legislative matters, this show is your go-to source for understanding how North Carolina is growing and thriving. Stay tuned as we kick off another insightful episode of Taking Care of NC.
Good morning, North Carolina. Hope everybody's doing well out there. Good to be back. It was off the Monday for Memorial Day, and I hope everybody took a moment to reflect on the sacrifices made for this country and for each one of us, so that we may sleep peacefully in our beds at night and not fear that our constitutional rights will be taken from us, at least not by some foreign adversary. We have to worry about the domestic ones, I guess. But hope that everybody had an enjoyable weekend, but realize that extra day you got off, there was a reason. People sacrificed for you. So I pray that you took a moment. Hey, we've been talking, and y'all got to hear the repeat last week of Doug Holland, who come in and talked to me about milk. And the reason we're talking about milk, which seems kind of boring and bland, but not, it's really exciting, rich and fun and great to taste, is there's Farm Act that we do every session, every 2 years, to help improve the agricultural community with regulations maybe removed or with different initiatives. And so one that was brought up by the Commissioner of Agriculture, Steve Troxler, was to ban raw milk. And raw milk now in North Carolina, the only way, two ways you can really get it is through a herd share, which means you're in participation with a local farmer who has cows or the goats, possibly, and you are allowed to acquire some of his milk by paying him a certain percentage to participate with him on his farm, whatever that's negotiated. Also, there is pet milk, and pet milk is milk that hasn't been pasteurized or homogenized, anything. It's raw milk put in bottles and sold in the stores, and it specifically says not for human consumption. This is for pets only. So those are the two avenues right now. And I think we may have our people on the line. So this morning, for the other side of the story, we've heard from the Grade A dairy side with Doug, who's the president of the North Carolina Dairy Producers Association. This morning, I've got a local farm down in Rowan, known these people a long, long time. Luther Ridge Dairy, right outside of or in Mount Ulla. And I have Leanne Whitmore and Stephen Whitmore, her son, on. So Leanne and Stephen, are y'all there?
Yes, sir.
All right. How are you this morning?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. Doing well. All right. Well, tell us a little bit. Who is Luther Ridge Farm? Give us a little history about who y'all are and how y'all have come to the point where you are now in your farming history.
Okay. My father, Ted Luther, and his brother, Ben Luther, started the farm in 1965. They came here from Buncombe County. They were both raised on beef cow farms and decided they wanted to start a dairy. And they milked a little over 100 cows until 1997. And in 1997, they decided they would sell their milking herd and raise replacement heifers, and did that until about 11 years ago when my father passed away. And when Dad passed away, my uncle said, I don't want to do this anymore without you, Daddy, so we're going to sell it to you and your brother if you're interested. So my brother, Richard Luther, and I bought the farm, and my son, Stephen, here is here as the herdsman, manages the farm. We milk about 35 cows, have about 60 cows here on the farm, heifers and dry cows. And we started this in hopes of getting on with one of the big co-ops, and they did not want us because we were small. We have a small farm here. We couldn't really support a lot more than 100 cows, and they didn't really want to stop and pick up here. So we found a couple of cheese makers that were interested in buying our milk. So we started milking cows. We added a milk plant and became a grade A dairy, selling milk, pasteurizing milk, and selling it to a cheese maker in Charlotte. And then we picked up another cheese maker near Raleigh. As time went on and the price of grain went up, we discovered we really couldn't continue to do that. In fact, we've gotten up to about 80 cows, and it was just really hard to make ends meet. So we decided we would start putting milk in jugs. And when we started putting milk in jugs, we found a market for selling pasteurized milk, not homogenized, but pasteurized whole milk. And then we started with the chocolate and starting to make a little bit of money, and decided that we found a market for the raw milk. So we went through the proper processes and gained a label that says not for human consumption. It's a pet treat. And so that's what we do now. We pasteurize milk, and we also sell the raw milk.
So now let me ask you this. Now, I've known Ben and Ted for as long as I can remember. My dad sold them feed for a long, long time, and I sold them some over the years too. And so know the family. I've not really got to meet you, I don't think, Leanne. I maybe have. If I see you, I may say, yeah, I've seen you or whatever. But anyway, good people. Good people. Y'all, Ben and Ted, both good men. I always got along with them, admired them. They hardworking, and these are Jersey cows. I don't know if you mentioned their jerseys or not. You're all Jersey, correct? Correct. That's what I thought. So you're looking at a high quality product here. Your butter fat probably runs 4.5% or more at this time, doesn't it, Stephen?
Our butter fat right now is over 6.5%.
Wow. Okay. All right, folks. And let me, y'all just hold tight for a second. Let me do a little explaining to the audience here how milk is sold in North Carolina, and it's a little wacky, if you ask me. Most of the co-ops that a lot of your bigger grade A dairies are members of, they basically sell their milk on 100 pounds, which I think's around it's close to 12 gallons in 100 pounds. It's 8.6 or 7 pounds per gallon. So around 11, 12 gallons in 100 pounds. And they want it to be 3.5% butter fat. So out of 100 pounds, there should be 3.5 pounds of butter fat in that milk. And if you have less than 3.5%, they dock you for every 10th. Right now, it's about a quarter, maybe a little more. I don't know. Do y'all know the answer to that? I want to say it's around a quarter. It may be 30 cents.
I think that's about right.
We'll say a quarter for easy math. So if you make a product that's 3.3%, your cows don't give a lot of butter fat. And a lot of times Holsteins, that's the black and white cows, folks, don't give as much butter fat, but give more pounds. They may only do 3.3% butter fat, but they're really milking hard. They're maybe milking 80 to 100 pounds of milk a day, easy. And so they get docked 50 cents on. So let's say they get paid $20. So on their product, they only get $19.50 100 because it's 2/10 under 3.5. Now, whole milk in North Carolina in the store only has to be 3.25% butter fat to be considered whole milk. Now they buy it at 3.5, but they only have to sell whole milk at 3.25. And so there's some discrepancies here that doesn't make a lot of sense. I'm sure y'all know this, Leanne and Stephen, more than anybody, because y'all seen all kind of different sides of the equation. And so your product right now, you're telling me, is twice as much butter fat in it as what whole milk will be in the store. Is that correct? That's how I'm doing my math.
Yeah, the last test we did for our label, so they had a number to put on our label, was 6.8.
Wow. Okay, so y'all test your butter fat then. You know, the funny thing is that you can pick up a jug of whole milk and you cannot really find that number anywhere on that jug. It does not say 3.25. Now, the blue caps are 2% butter fat. I don't even know what is the 1%. Light blue, dark blue's the 2. I think
Yeah,
light blue.
like,
I never look at the light blue for a lot of reasons. I went to state for one, but the real reason I don't is 1% is pretty nasty stuff if you ask me. And I don't even know what 0% fat milk is. I'm not sure. I think that's
that's
just where they wash up. Yeah. They washed the bottom of the tank out and they bottled that and sent it on. Now the bad thing is that's what our children are being forced to drink in school is this 1%. Michelle Obama, an attorney by trade, but nutritionist by first lady, determined that was what was making our children fat. And next thing you know, we go from whole milk to 1%. And folks, I've been into school. I know y'all are saying, why did Jeff have me on here if he's going to do all the talking? Just give me a second. I'm coming back to you. But I've been into school and watched kids throw this milk away one after another, never touch it because it's nasty. It just doesn't have any taste to it. So now we're going to talk about your product, and your product is twice the butter fat. And folks, that's what gives it the flavor. Now I haven't tasted y'all's, but you're tempting me now. I'll try the pasteurized. No offense. We're not going to get in a big debate, but 6.5 or more butterfat. That's an excellent product. Excellent product. So I understand kind of where y'all are coming from. So how much of y'all's product do you sell pasteurized? And I guess in a whole milk situation, you call it. And then how much do you sell in pet milk? How does it break out? Maybe in a percentage amount. You don't have to be gallons or pounds or nothing.
we are selling. It's probably close to around 85 to 90% of our sales are raw.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So 10 to 15% pasteurized between the just regular white milk chocolate and we're just strawberry.
Yeah. Let me ask y'all this then. Do you think there is a difference in the taste between the raw and the pasteurized, with both of them being 6+% butterfat? Can y'all tell a difference?
Yes, I think the raw tastes better. That's what I drink.
Okay. All right. And I know y'all do a good job and you're a clean dairy. I've been down there here I don't know. It's probably been a year since I stopped by there. I think then and most of y'all were feeding alfalfa hay. I'm not even sure if you was really feeding hardly any grain at all. And I know you do a lot of grazing when you can too. So do you think the grazing, does that contribute? Is that helping to the taste of the raw milk to a point, or can't tell much difference between when they're grazing and they're not grazing? Now you got to stay off the wild onions. You know that, don't you?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, yes, I think it can help. But one thing we learned from the cheese makers, they wanted us to stay away from corn silage. And I'm not
Really?
anti-corn silage by any means, but they could. I mean, these guys are. I mean, they could tell the difference in all kind of milks. That's what they worked with, trying to make their cheeses all the time, and they said the weren't as good grass fed products. So we're feeding oat hay, and then we do brown top millet
Okay.
in the summertime, and then they have about 6 acres that they can graze year round, other than when it just completely dies out in January, February.
And bad weather too. You don't want to get out there and tromp it down. So there's a lot to do about this. Well, now, all right. So the Senate, Steve Troxler, who's never liked raw milk in any form to anything at all, all of a sudden shows up at the Senate Ag Committee, and I don't think it was a complete shock. I think some there knew he was coming, but shows up basically and wants them to ban the sale of raw milk through herd share and pet milk and everything. And I'm sure it pretty much caught y'all out of the blue, because I'm gonna be honest with you, they didn't call me and tell me. I'm one of the chairs in the House Ag, and none of my chairs in the House Ag saw this coming. I mean, at all. So it was kind of a big shock. So I mean, it's right now everything's still like it is because it's all in process. But this would be really detrimental to y'all.
Absolutely.
I mean, you could pasteurize and do what you do, but right now this is the demand that you see, and I know y'all work with Jason down there at in Mooresville at the what the farmers market down there. So
Josh,
I know y'all do what, ma'am? Y'all are breaking up a little
Josh
bit on
Graham.
me. Say it again.
Josh Graham.
Yeah, Josh Graham. Yes. Yeah, did I say Jason? Josh. I'm sorry. Josh's farm market. Yeah. And so I know y'all have an outlet there. Who else do y'all market your pet milk through?
We have about 20 different, just small farmers markets in between. I mean, some are selling 10, 15 gallons, some are selling 200 gallons a week. Anywhere from Albemarle to Lexington to Hickory, Denver. We had some milk going all the way to the coast at one point, but we just can't keep. We decided to stay as local as we could because we couldn't keep up with the demand around here.
Well, and now y'all don't do anything with the herd share stuff. You're not really involved in that, or are you?
No,
No. And it's complicated, but it does take away some liability. So, and that's one of my next questions. The big thing that Commissioner Troxler stated, especially with the high pathogen avian influenza, we'll call it HPAI for acronyms. That there's a chance that chickens and cows, and you can go back and forth, and then it can be transferred to humans, and this whole cycle that he's saying, this has made it that much more critical, not counting just, some of the regular. Do y'all do some sampling yourself, don't you? I think Leanne told me that, but I could be wrong. Do y'all sample any to check, see what your milk is, how it is, or whatever?
oh yes, I mean for the grade A side, they have to come out and test our milk regularly for the pasteurized milk, so they're testing our raw milk as well.
Okay.
And they had started doing the bird flu test, and from what I understand, they just quit. They were doing everybody, and then they quit.
Well,
They test our, Jeff,
I didn't hear that, Leanne. Say that again.
test our milk monthly.
Okay, so you're getting checked monthly now. All right.
Yes, sir.
And so I know that they went out and sampled milk on every farm, especially grade A in North Carolina. The Department of Ag did, checking for HPAI and didn't find any, which is great. We have had one case. It was back over a year ago now. And it came from the hot spot out in Texas. Cows were moved. Somebody bought some cows and then it came in, and we were able to make sure we kept it kind of quarantined, caught it early, figured it out real fast. So, and like I said, they're grade A and all their milk's pasteurized. So there was never a chance really that got into the milk the way they do, but it still is concerning. Do y'all worry much about the HPAI? I mean, y'all don't have any poultry chickens running around on the farm or anything like that. If you have, I've never seen them.
Nah.
So y'all keep yourself kind of isolated just for your cows.
Yes, sir.
Well, let me ask this then. What is y'all's take, or what do y'all say when you hear somebody like Steve Troxler, our Commissioner of Agriculture, say that we need to ban raw milk? How do I know you don't like it, but what's your comeback, I guess, to the things that he brings up? What do you usually say?
There's raw milk being sold, and I believe it's 34 states. Some are completely legal, some are herd shares, some are pet milk, and we keep hearing about all the possible contamination or diseases that can be transferred. And I would say there's millions of people drinking it, and I feel like, and it's been going on for a long time here. and we just don't see the stories of people getting sick and dying. I mean, you may hear of one case of somebody getting sick a year, and then we hear stuff about lettuce and mushrooms and all these other products that no one ever bats an eye at, making people sick all the time. I just don't see the correlation to needing to ban something because of that.
Well, one of the big rubs, because the grade A guys, they don't want it, and I get where they're coming from. They've invested a lot of money. Y'all have too. It's all relative to size of scale, but they've invested a lot of money. And if something should happen, milk gets a black eye. They say it doesn't, and it won't be just be raw milk. It'll be everybody's milk gets a black eye. Because you've got quite a few different groups out there. PETA, Humane Society, they've changed their name now, but all these different ones that really love to hate on animal agriculture and want us to eat the crickets and the bugs and the fruits and the berries that grow naturally, and not have anything that comes from animal husbandry in any form in our diets, which I don't know how that works, because I'm pretty sure I'd die. But it's tricky for them, and so their big holler is, it's just a matter of time before this goes bad. And tell us some of the things that y'all do to make sure that not just testing, but some of the procedures y'all do, because I know y'all take the extra steps to make sure the milk is good quality and clean.
Well, I mean, for one, we are grade A, so that we are held to the entire dairy. The whole operation is held to the grade A standard. We're not doing the raw milk somewhere else. And one thing we really pride ourselves in is myself and my uncle. We do 99.9% of the milking. We are in the parlor twice a day, milking, hands on the cows, and so we're not leaving that to somebody else and hoping they do a good job. We've had we just take great pride in trying to take care of these cows really well and keep things clean. And we know that if we put out a bad product and get somebody sick, that's our business. So we have to put the effort in to make sure we're putting out a safe, quality product if we want to continue to do this.
Well, and that's the I think the thing, we look across the landscape, y'all are kind of the anomaly, I think, out there. I don't really know, and there's a guy up in Oxford, but I'm not sure. But y'all are one of the few grade A dairies. And folks, when you say the term, they used to be grade A and grade B. Now, we used to joke a lot back in the day when there were a lot more grade Bs that the difference was the screen door on the parlor. The grade B didn't have one, and the grade A had to have a screen door up so the flies can't get in. It's more than that, though, folks. It's, y'all get your water checked by the health department and by the NCDA, and you also get your hot water checked to make sure it's the right temperature. So when you cleanse and clean your stuff, that it's actually killing bacteria. So there's a lot of different things that goes into this, making sure the pipes and the pipelines are clean, your stainless steel, others could have plastic at grade B or whatever, but y'all are grade A. So you've got a lot of expense involved in making sure that you maintain that grade A status. It's not just something that they just hand out. You kind of earn it. And so it's important to know that. There's a lot, though, in this raw milk industry. They're not grade A. And does that concern you that the ones maybe that are out there doing this business aren't doing the same level of effort that you
are? Yes. I guess the best way to put it would be we would be open to more testing and more regulation on what we're doing. I'm sure that there's a lot of people out there that think the same way we do, that they have to do a good job or they're not going to have a business. But I'm sure there's probably some people out there that probably aren't doing things the way that is probably the best.
Well, and I had a young man come into my office about 2 weeks ago, and he actually milks like 8 cows up in Wake County, believe it or not, but it's up in like Wake Forest area, uh, and he's telling me that this, if we have to do a lot of testing, this is going to be a great hardship on him, and he won't be able to do and this and one of the first things I asked him, because I felt like it was one of those family, and he did cow shares plus sold some pet milk. What he could, he sold in cows herd shares, and then the rest, whatever he had, he bottled the pet milk. And one of the first questions I said, "Do you have any chickens on the farm?" He goes, "Oh yeah, we sell eggs too." And so it was one of them where we'll sell you, we grow this, that, and that. And so, I told him, I said, well, that's a good example of what they're afraid of. You've got, we'll call it free range chickens. Where I grew up, it was just barnyard chickens, but they come up with a fancier name. We didn't even have a range unless it was in the house. That was the only thing I knew that was a range. But anyway, so they're out and about, and they're commingling with the cows, and that in there is kind of the worst case scenario of what could happen on the farm right now. And it's always been there, though. That's something that's just been a part of farms. A lot of times you had hogs, you had chickens, you had milk cows, you had beef cows, you had whatever. You had a little bit of everything. So it not only does it make the grade A guys nervous, it sounds like it makes y'all nervous too in that whole process then.
Somewhat.
Yeah. Well, it's out of your control. That's the bad part. Y'all can't control what happens at other farms. So if you had to say something, we're getting down here. I told you it goes by pretty daggum quick. We'll cut off at 11:30, and we're right there. What would you say to the public out there about the consumption of raw milk? And we can only really talk about it through pets, because pets are what's supposed to drink it. Although we got a pretty good idea, they're not the only ones consuming it. But what would you say to the consumer out there on raw milk?
I think I think the consumer has a right to make an informed decision. Um, is it something that I would recommend to everyone? No, but if you do your research and come to that conclusion, we feel like there are plenty of safe options uh, as far as drinking raw milk or your pet drinking raw milk. Um, is there a risk to it? Yes. Not near as much of a risk as a lot of things we do every day.
Jeff, we take pride in what we do here at Luther Ridge. We feel like the product that we're producing is safe as raw milk can be. And we would like to keep doing that and are open to, like Stephen said, whatever regulations the state comes up with, and we'd like a voice in that if at all possible.
Okay. And I don't know where this is going to go. I don't know if it's even going to make it out of the Senate. It may get killed over there. I don't know. When it comes to the House, it's going to be like a hot potato for sure. This is a real hot issue, folks. I've probably gotten close now to about 1,000 emails from people emailing my office, saying that, this is something they want. I've got a few that said no, but I've got 98% of them wanting. And so we get down to freedom. That's the part in this that bothers me. I do worry some about raw milk, no doubt. And there could be issues, but you can poorly handle pasteurized milk, not chill it, not do it right, and you can run back into the same some issues that we have. So a lot of things can go wrong in a lot of different ways in a lot of places. But it does get back to, it's a freedom thing. This is something that I want, and if I want, I ought to be able to. And so, but it's tough because it's also, I feel like, part of my job to protect the public from things that may harm them. But we sell cartons of cigarettes every day, So at what point do we draw a line? We kind of let the cat out of the box there on that. So how do we do this? So it's not easy, but I appreciate y'all. And Josh's Farmers Market's one place where your product is that people can buy for their pets, folks. I got to say that. Is there any other place close by in Iredell or on out? Because we reach from Winston-Salem all the way to the Tennessee line, so we've got quite a coverage here.
Yeah, Fresh Market in Hickory, Denver.
In Salisbury, there's Father and Son Produce. In Lexington, there's Crossings. And that's just a few of them.
Yeah. Well, I know y'all said y'all had a bunch. So, know this. I feel like these people do an excellent job out there of trying to produce a quality product. And of course, I always say in this, buyer beware. You use like you should. But I have a lot of faith in y'all. And I wish that if all of them did the job that y'all do, this would not be much of a conversation. But it is. So we'll see where it goes. Y'all pay attention, stay tuned. And folks, I just want you to know we're trying to figure out the best avenue for everybody out there. But Leanne and Stephen, I appreciate y'all coming on. I appreciate y'all talking. And 6.5% butterfat sounds like a mighty good product, folks. I'm just telling you, that's a lot of butterfat. And that's going to be like slurping ice cream. That's going to be some good stuff. Some good stuff.
We appreciate you taking the time to talk to us.
All right, you take care. All right, folks. We'll be back for the second half of the show, so stay tuned.
We all play a role in keeping our community safe.
Every day, we move in and out of each other's busy lives.
It's easy to take for granted all the little moments that make up our everyday.
Some are good, others not so much.
But that's life.
It's when something doesn't seem quite right that it's time to pay attention.
Because only you know what's not supposed to be in your everyday.
So protect your everyday.
If you see something suspicious, say something to local authorities.
This is John Stossel. Anything that makes it harder for you to speak limits your life. So if stuttering affects you or your child or someone you know, you can call the Stuttering Foundation for help. The number is 800-992-9392. That's toll free 800-992-9392. Or you can visit their website, www.stutteringhelp.org. They can refer you to expert help in your state.
We all want more for North Carolina. More boundless views, more adventures in the outdoors, and more clean roads to get there. But to get more, we have to do less. Less littering, that is. Make it your nature to trash your trash and keep NC clean. And we'll all have more reasons to love North Carolina. Litter less, get more. For more on the 7 outdoor NC Leave No Trace principles, visit OutdoorNC.com. Sponsored by the North Carolina Association of Broadcasters and Visit North Carolina, a part of the Economic Development Partnership of North Carolina in cooperation with this station. We all want more for North Carolina. More boundless views, more adventures in the outdoors, and more clean roads to get there. But to get more, we have to do less. Less littering, that is. Make it your nature to trash your trash and keep NC clean. And we'll all have more reasons to love North Carolina. Litter less, get more. For more on the 7 outdoor NC Leave No Trace principles, visit OutdoorNC.com. Sponsored by the North Carolina Association of Broadcasters and Visit North Carolina, a part of the Economic Development Partnership of North Carolina in cooperation with this station.
Bravo, Brenda. You've always been a saver. Price matching your price matches. The self-proclaimed queen of extreme couponing. But this time, you've truly outdone yourself. By saving for this electric vehicle, you're locking in up to $1,000 a year in fuel and maintenance savings, which will leave you saying, cha-ching, every time you unplug. Good for your wallet, great for the planet. That's the power of EV. Sponsored by the NC Clean Energy Technology Center and the North Carolina Association of Broadcasters in cooperation with this station.
All right, folks, back here for the second half of the show. Somebody like to call in and talk about milk or anything. 704-873-9929. we're having this interesting conversation on milk and what we consider to be just a commodity, but it's not. And it's really important to the western side of the state. Probably 90% of your dairy cows are west of Raleigh, really about west of Greensboro almost. So there's a lot on this side of the state. So but it's become bigger fewer farms, but bigger. Idle County, when I first got out of school, and I think I told this a couple of weeks ago, there was 280 some. We're down to like 18,
Really?
but we have the same amount of cows.
Wow.
Actually, a little bit more, just a few bit. Well, it's close. But so what's happened? And just like she said, you heard Leanne talk about it. They had 30 cows. They're probably giving 50, 60 pound a piece. So you do the math, that's 1,500. They have to get picked up at least every 3 days. Usually they like to get it every 2 days. So they're going to stop by and pick up 3,000 pounds, or they can go to the big dairy that's milking 800 and pick up a whole tractor trailer load.
Yeah.
So what they end up doing, they charge these small farms what they call a stop charge. Well, the stop charge keeps growing. The larger farms pay it's almost like a flat fee. So it eventually it kills the small farm is what it does. And that's a shame because I've never known hardly anybody to ever start out milking 1,000 cows. They all started out small and they grew and they bought and they grew. We got somebody on the line. All right. Hey, this is Representative Jeff McNeely. Who do I got here?
Hey, Jeff, it's Doug.
Doug. Now, you got 2 weeks of free advertisement there. You know that. No, I'm
2
just
weeks
teasing.
of free advertising?
Yeah, you got your day, and then you got Memorial Day too. But go ahead, brother. What's up? Doug Allen here. Doug was one on talking for the Grade A people.
Well, I just wanted to point out, Stephen said his is tested one time a month. The Grade A producers that are going to the co-ops, their milk, every load of their milk is tested, and then it goes to pasteurization that kill any pathogens that might be in the milk. So,
and y'all get billed for that. That ain't just done for free.
Yeah, the producers have to pay that cost for the testing, and it's billed back to us through our milk check every month. But I'm not. People can make their own decision here, and the General Assembly's got a huge decision to make. We're not trying. Commissioner is not trying to regulate the consumption of it; it's to regulate the sale of it. And I think there's some big differences in it. He's looking at it from a safety standpoint, and that's his job. But I think there are some big differences in testing and what it's tested for.
Well,
just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, not to completely throw the commissioner under the bus, but as the agricultural commissioner, he could make this a ruling and not go through legislation to do whatever he wanted to do. But then that's on him. Having us do it puts it on us, codifies it. So, but him is almost like an executive order, and it would only be good as long as wants it to be, or he's ag commissioner. Next ag commissioner come in, he could change, or her could change, whichever. So
he does have the authority to regulate the pet side of it, yes. And I don't know if he's going to do that or not, but the problem was North Carolina allowed the sale of pet milk, and when that was done, it created a regulatory nightmare because there's really not a good system in place to regulate that.
Well, and when they told me, I don't know, were you listening? I guess you were. Yeah, when he told me his milk is 6.5% butter fat. You and I both know, what y'all are running about 3.8, 3.9 right now, I think, aren't you?
Yeah.
Which is good for Holsteins, y'all. That's really good.
Yeah.
But 6.5, that is going to be a good tasting product. I mean, I know you'd rather have it pasteurized, but my goodness.
Yeah. I don't deny that. The butterfat does add the taste to
it. And don't you think that's a lot of what the raw milk deal is for these people that say it tastes better? It's not. Maybe the pasteurization, maybe the pasteurization, depending on what kind of form it does, maybe it does kill off a little taste, but a lot of it is this is what actually comes out of the cow versus once it gets to the processor and the grocery store side, what they make of it. I mean, that butterfat is a huge deal and making money for the grocery chains and the processor. And 3.25 is all that has to be in North Carolina to be considered whole milk. And we all know that they dock you if you don't have at least 3.5. You start having, you lose money. So I always think it's kind of weird. They get away with a, 25, 2.5 tenths, I guess, or whatever, on the whole milk thing, but make it up on the other side, docking the farmer. I don't know. We talked about price of milk for years, man.
I think that's the number one thing you hear about the raw milk. It tastes better, and certainly the fat is what adds the taste to it. And maybe that's something we need to look at from the General Assembly side, that we create a law or regulation or something to raise the fat content in milk in stores.
Well, California did that. California did it. So it can be done on a state basis, or create a whole new product. Maybe we come in and we create an all natural milk product that's pasteurized, but not homogenized. And when you homogenize the milk, it's a weird little process they do, but that's what keeps it from separating. When I was a kid, I remember we'd get milk and you'd come in and it was in a glass thing and you had to shake it up. Well, you didn't have to. You could drink all the cream off the top, but that's when your mom popped you in the back of the head. Anyway, but you had to shake it up and then you poured your glass of milk. And that way everybody got some cream instead of just the first guy that showed up and got it. But
that's right.
My dad was notorious for putting that in his coffee, not shaking it up, putting it in there. So we ended up we drank a lot of 2% probably as a child because he took most of it for his coffee. But that was a whole nother story we didn't understand. But anyway, so I just wondered, do we create a whole nother product and want people like this better? Me and you talked for years about how we're training children to not like to drink milk because of the nasty stuff we sell in the school system. And it's because of federal regulations. It's not because nobody's being spiteful, but it hurts. It hurts.
That was all started under Michelle Obama.
That's right. That's what I said. The lady who had a law degree that thought she was a nutritionist.
Took the fat out of milk in school, and we've created generations that don't consume milk when they get older. That's unfortunate.
We've lost them. All right. Well, so y'all are testing every load. So every load gets tested and it costs something. So there's a lot of security in that. All right, brother. I appreciate you.
I think
Go ahead. If you got something to say it. Go ahead.
Well, I think there's a big difference. I mean, what happens the other 29 days out of the month if it's not tested? I mean, anything could happen. And so I think you're opening yourself up for a lot of liability there, but I appreciate you letting me talk about it.
You're welcome. We're gonna try to figure this out one way or another. So we'll see what happens. We'll see.
All
right.
Appreciate it.
Be good, man. See you. All right, folks. Anybody else want to call in? 704-873-9929. Love to hear from you. Hey, we'll get started on some politics here while y'all are sipping on your milk. The House, North Carolina House, we finally got our budget done. The Senate worked on theirs first part. It was their turn to do it this year first. They sent their version over. Looked like a Sears and Roebuck catalog. It's been real handy. Toilet paper's being tight at the NCGA, so we're not just teasing. I'm just teasing Senate. I'm just teasing Vicky. I'm just teasing. Anyway, so we come up with our version, and they're similar in the spin number, and that's a little term we use, spin number. That's where we kind of both sides agree on this is about what we think we're going to spend. We got a caller. All right, let's take it. Hey, this is Representative Jeff McNeely. Who we got?
This is Josh Graham, Mr. Neely. How are you, sir?
Hey, Josh, I'm doing good. And I'm sorry I called you Jason. I don't know why I did that. I'm getting old and feeble.
Call me Jason. That ain't no problem.
Old and feeble. But Josh, how you doing? You're the other side of this equation. There's 3 or 4 different sides to this equation. So talk to me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So when the Wetmores reached out to me, I guess it was back in 23 to carry their milk. I had to be completely honest with you. Where we are in the location of our market, I really wasn't that interested in raw milk, fed milk. but at the same time, it was a local product, and we try to pride ourselves on carrying local items. And so we stocked it, and we Facebooked it a time or two. It was pet milk, and it really took off from day one. And what I have learned about it, because there again, I'm a huge milk drinker. I've been my entire life. I love white milk, love chocolate milk. I just love it all.
I get you. Me too.
Yeah, even on a hot day, I love white milk on a hot day. So it's just something I've always consumed. But what I've learned, the last year and a half is there's a lot of folks that struggle drinking milk, and they found themselves are able to drink the pet milk. They're able to drink the raw milk, and so that adds a whole other line to that. And I'm a firm believer in it now. I do believe in giving folks the option. We carry a really good glass bottle pasteurized milk out of Virginia. We have since probably the early teens, and we sell both equally well. But at the same time, that pet milk, raw milk, is our number one dairy product. And I've got a lot of folks that depend on it now, and have so for the last year plus.
Have you tasted their pasteurized
I
milk
have,
product?
and when we first started carrying their milk, their pasteurized was what I switched to. So I learned there that Jersey makes a higher fat content.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I didn't know that. I do now, and I love their pasteurized. But I'm one of those. I'm one of those folks that struggle with digestive issues.
Okay.
And the older I get, the more I have. And so I drank their pasteurized, but I had to really limit what I drank. Up until about a year ago in March, we had a raw half-gallon pet milk that got shuffled to the back because we do load from them 4 to 6 times a week.
Okay.
And
you're selling a lot.
we sell pilot. We really do, and they're good to us. They keep us in it. We very rarely ever run out. But I also live a mile and a half from them too. That helps.
Yeah.
So, we took that raw milk home, and I found out really quickly. So I don't have any issues drinking this stuff. So there's just different avenues of it. I get the safety aspect of it, as it should be with anything else that you offer to the public, because at the end of the day, my name is on that milk that's being sold to my customers.
Yeah.
So whereas several years back, we was approached by some South Carolina guys saying, "Hey, why don't we get some raw milk up that way?" And I had no understanding of it. I don't even know if it was legal to carry across state lines. But I wasn't interested because they were old produce guys, and they drove old raggedy trucks, and sometimes they didn't look as clean as they should have been. so there's one of them deals where I didn't know if I wanted that product in my market. But when Stephen and Mark approached me about carrying it, it was never really a question. But I still severely undertook how successful it would be and how big of a demand we would have.
Well, and Josh folks had called me up when this happened because you buy chicken feed from us, and we appreciate your business. And,
Sure
and if you want to tell us where your market's located at, because I know it's moved, but I think everybody knows where it is. Billy Buck will send you a bill afterwards, but still good advertisement.
Yes.
But anyway,
so we're in our
go ahead.
We're in our 6th location in 5 years. It's been a traveling circus. Just look for the white tent in Mooresville. You typically find us, but hopefully this is our last temporary stop. We're at 558 River Highway right now in Mooresville. Plans are to build permanently we haven't been officially announced it yet. I guess it is going to be here on this radio, but we'll be at the YMCA in Mooresville as of spring of next year with the permanent facility.
Wow.
So we're excited about that.
All right. Cool deal. All right. Well, and I think I lost my train of thought there, whatever, but yeah, this, I guess, here's the key that everybody keeps coming back to. It's a freedom issue. It's a freedom issue. And that's where it makes it really hard for me, because I understand dangers that are there, but I swear freedom it's so precious. And we lose freedoms every day and don't realize it. We do, and so I don't want to be that guy that takes some form of freedom away from the people of North Carolina or United States or Idle County or whoever. And so I'm always going to side on that, and that's what makes this really hard for me because I've worked in this industry my whole life, and I see, and I wonder, can you, so you can taste the difference between their pasteurized, maybe you've had it, I think you said you did, their pasteurized whole milk product, non-homogenized, and their whole milk raw product. And you seem to be able to digest better with their raw milks, what you're telling me, correct? That's how I heard it.
Well, I think as far as their pasteurized go, it's awful daggone good, and I really enjoy it. But it doesn't agree with me near as good as their pet milk does. So that's the issue that I have, and that's the choice that I have to make. And I've got 5 kids, and I didn't. We kept a pasteurized and we kept a pet there at the house, and next thing I know, they're all drinking the pet. So it's I think it goes back to, like you just said, I think both of us, myself and yourself, probably are minded a lot similar. And I do believe in small government. And I do like folks having a choice. And I do understand, having regulations to keep stuff safe for humans and keep it safe, make sure they're doing the right thing. But at the same time, I think there is a choice that needs to be left up to folks, and no one's twisting their arm to drink either or. It just gives them the option and gives them the right. And that, like you said, that's part of it, is the freedom side of things. And but I do know that if they go and ban pet milk and go and ban raw milk, that is going to upset the apple cart on a lot of folks that, for various reasons. And one of them is just straight up digestive. And I'm an advocate for that because I'm living it and I see it. So it's just from my perspective, everyone's different.
Yeah. Oh, well, Josh, I appreciate you calling in. And like I said, thank you for your business you give to G&M Milling. Make a plug there too. Anyway, we're about as bad as NASCAR here. We got to get it out.
Hey, our when we switched, our hens have really put out. I think my pop picked up 28 dozen yesterday.
There you go.
Y'all keep sending that good feed.
You better keep it quiet. People's gonna know how rich you are here in a minute, and they're gonna come and get you. So you better be careful.
I don't know about that.
All right. Well, Josh, I appreciate you. Thank you so much, and we'll see how this goes. We'll see how this goes. All right, brother.
Thanks, sir.
Bye-bye. All right. Like I said, who would think that this is an issue, but this is an issue, and it's and people are passionate about this.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked, this is one of these things that the far right and the far left seem to be so passionate. They've almost circled around and joined on the backside. So I'm like, this has made milk has made some strange bedfellows, as they say in politics. So this has been different. Anyway, getting back a little bit here real quick, because we ain't got a lot of time here. It's been quick today. I'm glad to be back. We've named this budget Committed to Carolina, and we are. And so it passed us 86-20 out of the House. We had 25 Democrats vote for it, which kind of is unheard of on the first go. So we'll see how it goes. Even the minority leader of the Democrats over, Robert Reeves, good dude, he voted for it. But what we've done in ours, we've moved starting teacher pay up to $50,000. So that's going to be something. Maybe we can get some kids. We've just been struggling to get young people to come into the teaching profession. Put $50 million in for school safety. We continue to put money in for school safety. State employees going to get a 2.5% raise. We're going to see retirees get roughly a 3% bonus cost of living adjustment. We're going to have a back to school holiday weekend, again, tax holiday. So in other words, come August, you can go and instead of having to run to South Carolina where they do it, you can stay in North Carolina, and it gives a limit on certain things, but it's the limits we've always had in place. But you can go buy your computers, your school supplies, your whatever. It will be no sales tax for that weekend. So that's something we brought back. We think that's really popular. We've also increased the standard deduction 500 for single and 1,000 for couple. So that will help you on your taxes. We're going to end up hiring 61 more driving license examiners, trying to fix a problem there. Don't know if that's going to be the answer, but it's the old joke, put more men on the job. So we'll put, and women in this case, so we'll put them both. So we're going to try to get more driver's license made easier. We also put about 1.5 billion into the rainy day fund with this budget, trying to build it back up because it will come another rain again in the form of a hurricane or something while we're still trying to do it. One of the cool things I think we did was on the first $5,000 worth of tips that waiters and waitresses receive, there will be no tax put on it. Now I know a lot of waiters and waitresses going, we supposed to be paying tax on tips? I didn't know that. Okay. But anyway, now that people use a lot of credit cards, unfortunately. So, but the problem was with the Senate budget, it really didn't take into effect inflation. And I guess a lot of people think that, we're getting closer, aren't we? A lot of people think that, inflation, oh, it'll go away. I don't see it's leaving it soon. During the Biden administration, they pumped $7 trillion worth of money into the money supply. And as long as that's been poured out there until it's been able to be sucked back out, and pulling money back out of the economy is probably the hardest thing there ever is. It's easy to dump it in by the barrelful, but to try to get it back out to make this adjustment, it's going to be really tough. And because of that, everything got inflated. Look at cost of homes for these young people. We talked about that, these trying to ease some regulations and different things, but Senate's budget never really took that in reflect, and government suffers in inflation just like everything else because we buy stuff, we participate. So it's got to be taken into effect. So we actually took it to an effect in our budget. So we're getting right down here. This is a good budget, and it takes care of our people. So there's a lot of different things. Also, separately, real quick, we passed another Helene bill, 460 million. That goes to the Senate too. We kept the money for Helene out of the budget. Senate had it in it. That way, these people can get theirs even while we fight for the budget. So hopefully, they're going to get it. All right, we're getting down here to the end, so I'm just going to pray for us all, and especially North Carolina. Dear Heavenly Father, dear Lord, I do thank you for the opportunity to be able to serve the great people of Iredell County and my district, but also the state of North Carolina. And Lord, I pray you pray for us to make wise decisions with this budget negotiation, that we may find that spot that helps our people the most, but is also a very conservative stance that makes sure we spend the tax dollars wisely. So we look for you for guidance, dear Lord, and for wisdom. Pray you watch over us all and keep us safe. In Jesus' name, amen. Folks, until next week, take care.
Real Country is 550 AM WAME, 92.9 W225BD, Statesville.
WAME and Bunce Johnson Funeral Home are proud to present our national anthem, Bunce Johnson, where every detail matters. Call them at 704-873-7...